As Hurricane Milton brings biblical damage to Florida, Biden came out today and defended his administration's slow response to Hurricane Helene, calling any criticism of it disinformation and pointing fingers at Trump.
There's been a reckless and irresponsible and relentless promotion of disinformation and outright lies about what's going on. Former President Trump has led this onslaught of lies. Assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. That's simply not true. They're saying people impacted by these storms will receive $750 in cash and no more. That is simply not true either. They're saying that money needed for these crises are being diverted to migrants. What the heck are they talking about? Stop it. It's outrageous. It's just not true.
Biden's fighting Trump harder than the hurricane. If he should be angry at anybody, he should be angry at his team. They didn't pre-position assets in North Carolina to help in the foothills. Just like Afghanistan and the border, the hurricane's now Trump's fault. Americans have lost power, their homes, some of them even their husbands. They're not worried about what politicians say on TV. They are worried because they haven't seen FEMA all week. Criticizing your government isn't misinformation. It's a God-given right of every American. Instead of battling to save lives, the Biden-Harris administration's treating natural disasters like a PR battle that need to be won with words instead of fast action.
There have always been issues in disasters. Maui, certainly this happened where there's misinformation or there's scams, but we've never seen anything like we have at this level.
The administration will also continue to work out and call out misinformation and conspiracy theories around the storm and federal and state responses. This is wrong, dangerous, and it must stop immediately.
Are we concerned about any misinformation or disinformation regarding evacuations that we need to clear up at this point?
There's been a lot of misinformation out there, Madam Vice President, that's for sure.
The only misinformation we've heard is that Biden's doing a great job. Oh, and if you just drive your electric car, Cat 5 hurricanes will shrink into Cat 2s. Americans are naturally suspicious of the government after they lied to us about, oh, I don't know, Vietnam, Iraq, COVID, Russia, the president's health. This isn't a cheap fake. North Carolina sees the aftermath, and Biden and Harris were late. So what are they claiming is disinformation? Number one, FEMA is seizing property. Trump never said that. Number two, people wouldn't get more than $750. Trump never said that. Oh, and then the migrant money. That came from them. Mayorkas said FEMA was going to run out of money for hurricane season. And FEMA admitted they wasted $1 billion on migrants. Now, I'm not great at math. If I were, I'd work on Wall Street. But if you spend too much money on one thing and don't have enough money for another thing, that means you messed up. But if someone's making crazy claims on the internet about FEMA, so what? The President of the United States shouldn't be amplifying it at a press conference. No one had ever heard about most of this misinformation until Biden repeated it in front of the nation. All of this silliness is designed to distract the media from covering Biden's failure in North Carolina. He makes the story about Trump, so the story's not about him. And the media just goes along. Even CNN's confronting the administration about not being prepared. Watch this.
After Helene made landfall in the United States on September 26, Joe Biden was at his house in Rehoboth Beach. Vice President Kamala Harris was flying between ritzy California fundraisers, hobnobbing with celebrities. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was in Los Angeles presiding over an award ceremony. How do you respond to those accusations from J.D. Vance?
Kate, we don't listen to or pay attention to such unproductive and, quite frankly, counterproductive words.
So criticizing Democrats counterproductive, but criticizing Republicans is saving lives by combating misinformation. You got that? What's counterproductive is leaving Americans hanging, but bending over backwards to help foreigners who broke into the country. Americans have to wait weeks for $750 when they lost their home. But a migrant crosses the border, gets a free bus ticket, free hotel room, free food, free phone, debit cards, lickety-split. Migrants get to cut the security line at the airport. while you wait weeks for FEMA to arrive. It's not right. All we're asking is to put Americans first. We don't hate anyone. We just want fairness and respect, especially since we pay for the government that's supposed to help us when we can't help ourselves. We shouldn't be debating politics and arguing about misinformation. We should come together and save lives. But even so-called scientists are going on TV and saying if you vote for Kamala Harris, hurricanes will shrink.
The other side, as we often call it, has no plans to address climate change, no plans for long-term dealing with these sorts of problems. If you have young voters out there, encourage them to vote. People say, what can I do about climate change? If we were talking about it, associating it with big storms like this, that would be really good. But the main thing is vote.
This is like saying the best thing you could do to protect yourself from the hurricane is get vaccinated. Remember that? Trump was asked about how these hurricanes will impact the election, and he said he wasn't thinking about voting. He was thinking about lives. Donald Trump hosting nearly 300 linemen from Florida Power and Light Company at his Doral Golf Club. And Kamala Harris has been sidelined by Joe Biden and has been left to complain that DeSantis won't take her calls.
I am working with President Biden and FEMA and our state and local partners, and we're getting the job done. She has never been interested in any of the storms we've had in the state of Florida for her entire time as vice president. Now she's out there attacking me because I'm not catering to her whims. All she's trying to do is inject herself to be a part of her political campaign. I don't have time for political games. We've got a job to do. We got people's lives on the line, and that is our sole focus.
Even President Biden's telling Harris to stand down. He says, don't get involved. He and Ron, we're working well together.
Does Governor DeSantis need to take Vice President Harris's calls?
All I can tell you is I'm talking to Governor DeSantis. He's been very gracious. He's thanked me for all we've done. He knows what we're doing, and I think that's important.
It's good to know Biden and DeSantis are working well together because Florida's about to get smashed. It's also good to know FEMA won't be getting in the way there.
Just let me be clear, in Florida, we run the show. FEMA's not running the show. We will utilize them to support some of the things we're doing, but you are not going to see FEMA running amok in Florida. I know that's been out there on the internet. That is not going to happen. I'm the sheriff that's in charge here, and we will make sure to protect you. Don't worry about it.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.